If These Walls Could Talk. I'm Wendy Stuart.
And I'm Tym Moss. Hi.
I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
Likewise. We're in person.
Yeah, we're in
Well, not to you, but to us we are.
Right. We're like live, though, as opposed to like coming from the other side.
Yeah.
That's it. We got it. So
I'm not sure about this, but it looks kind of fabulous.
It's kind of cute. We were trying to get into the holiday spirit here. We've been out at so many events and parties.
Yes.
And we want to bring you right there along with us.
Oh, that's what I was looking for.
Your event and party. Tim's schedule. Well, I'll start off with mine because it's still fresh in my mind. Actually, the reason it's fresh in my mind, it's all become one thing. I was in the 12 Dregs of Christmas with the Imperial Court of New York at Boxers on Saturday, and it really was a ball. And I'll tell you one of the things that was so fun, all the people that were in SantaCon who were looking for places to go, we had the whole LGBTQ community in Boxers after, and they came to our show.
Fun.
And I did a whole Christmas medley of original lyrics, and this time I remembered all my lyrics.
Yay!
That's right. Yay! Yay! And oh my gosh, of course, last night was a double header. Here at Pangea, we celebrated the amazing Libby Edwards' birthday, but we had so many people that were on the show here. David Mills was here. It was a who's who of Pangea people and people that are well known from theater, all to celebrate our Libby. And prior to that, I went to the amazing Bill Clapp's, world-renowned artist, works in foils with a technique that I can't describe because it's so complicated. He gave a party in Long Island City. And of course, I haven't even had a chance to put any of these pictures up on Facebook. Let us not forget, Sunday night was Bordeaux with Joey Arias, Sherry Vine, Flotilla, who was amazing. I've been trying to get Flotilla on the show. Yes, I'm shouting that out, girl. When are you gonna break down and come on this show? And of course, Raven O at Indochine, and it was absolutely, positively marvelous, marvelous, Tim.
Well, I got to get my phone out here. Last week, I went to the Stonewall CDC. Their holiday party, which was absolutely wonderful. Stonewall CDC does so much for a lot for the LGBT seniors,
which is really important,
right? A lot are usually overlooked. And Paul Nagel and Saif, who run it, they're just remarkable. They're just wonderful, and it was so nice to reconnect with so many LGBT activists that I had not seen in so long. Let me see. I ended up going out to. My friend Kit Anthony out in New Jersey. I went out and spent the night last Friday night, and we had an exorcist night. What says Christmas like an exorcist?
Wait a minute. Hold on. You exercised?
We went to watch The Exorcist.
Oh, I thought Tim was like working with poltergeists behind my back. That's some weird stuff, Tim.
No, we just had an exorcist night where we just went and watched The Exorcist, and her his girlfriend had made like this, like a pinhead head with meats and stuff. It was really gross, but it was very tasty.
You had like food.
It was a whole theme.
I love it.
A whole horror night. Let's put it a horror night.
A horror night.
Yes. Saturday I went to see my friend over at Ralph Lauren over at Fifth Avenue. I was thinking that's over in your neighborhood.
Yes, my neck of the woods, Ralph Lauren.
To Ralph Lauren, she was playing the piano. Which was wonderful, and I sang a song with her and it was wonderful. It was very fun.
You're having a very festive holiday, Mr. Tym Moss.
Absolutely. Scott record. I was.
Do we know
I recorded. Yeah,
you recorded
for
something.
Scott. Yeah, yesterday there was a taping for Scott. Scott Knowlton, a friend of mine who's a producer at CBS. We did a reacts videos.
Cool.
And that was very fun. So those will be coming out in a couple weeks.
You are having a grand old time in this holiday season.
Yes. And last night I had a wonderful evening. Our dear friend Jezebel, she had written a couple books, and one of them was Jez's Jesus Juice, which is she's a drag queen.
Yeah,
and she wrote a devotional book, a Christian devotional book, because, a lot of times people just don't think that gay people are spiritual. And she had a Zoom last night, which was wonderful.
Which I missed because I was at all these other things. I feel so bad.
But it was absolutely wonderful. Just very spiritually fulfilling.
Right.
For, to enter the holiday season as well as enter the next year and the next phase coming up.
Well, and a shout out to Jezebel. She was on TriVersity Talk with her book Blood Rouge. We always shine a light on her. She tells it like it is, man. She's a pastor,
amazing writer.
She's an amazing writer. Blood Rouge was a novel.
Oh my God, it was frightening.
And I couldn't believe that she could write a novel after,
and
she's funny.
Got, I think,
she's
two more, either 2 or 3 more coming out in the next couple of years.
She is. These books are coming down the pipeline. She's won a bunch of awards too.
Yes.
Which have
and
evaded my
global.
mind. Yeah, and global. Yeah.
But I just had lunch with Michael Musto, who says hello and Merry Christmas to you and our wonderful guest.
Right, because he knows our wonderful guest. Yes. As a matter of fact, Richard Skipper knows our wonderful guest too.
He does.
We only have people that know other people. No, we're just kidding. A little bit about our guest today, besides me knowing him from Milford, Pennsylvania. Aside from that, he is the last word on classic film. He is his new book, which is called, I love the name of it, Not Even Nominated. Okay, and I'm going to hold that up, which he's going to take us through. But first of all, I love the title because
these were 40 overlooked co-stars of Oscar-winning performances.
Right. I love that he uses the word overlooked. How many of us have sat and watched the Academy Awards where they're bitching and go, oh my God, they didn't get the award? This is what I love about our guest. His classic knowledge of film, not to mention he has other books out where he'll pull out a 10-minute scene that was overlooked and pay homage to that actor. He's like, besides being an incredible person, he really lifts people up. And he has such respect for classic film. So without further ado, please put your hands together for the one, the only John DiLeo. Come on, slide in.
Oh boy.
You're nice and slim and good. We're on TV, John DiLeo. Oh my gosh.
How are you? I'm good. It's great to be here. This is so cozy.
So great. It is. It's cozy. Listen, you know what? I've interviewed you in the freezing cold under the tent at the Black Bear Film Festival.
We've done it all.
Only the best for me. But someday we'll be on the big stage, John.
Together
at the Academy Awards. We'll be at the Academy Awards, and John will be saying why this one should have won over someone else, and people will be screaming at you in the audience, and I'll be doing the interview, and that's my fantasy. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's so fun to be here.
We're so grateful.
I'm grateful.
God, okay. So the new book, you just did the reading at. Can you say the name of the bookstore, because it's a gorgeous bookstore?
Kinokuniya at Bryant Park.
It was gorgeous.
Did an event there a few weeks ago, and
it was 2 weeks ago. Only 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Gosh,
only I know.
And I did one at the LGBT Center
13th
here in New York
at
the
Bureau of General Services Queer Division bookstore inside,
which I love. I love that.
Yes.
And the other, I did a Barnes and Noble on Long Island, where I grew up, and the Lake Grove store.
We love that. Local boy goes home.
Yeah, and Book Soup in West Hollywood. That was a great event.
Very cool.
And we had some friends of ours that are out in California. Patrick Conceal showed up.
Yes.
Great. It's always great when your friends show up.
You know what's fun about book signings in places where you know people, which is the best place to have them, because you get people to come.
Of course.
And they rally the troops. It's like episodes of This Is Your Life, because you look at the room and go, I went to high school with that one, college, New York City when I moved here, Milford, and it's always a different cast, but it's all people from all.
Well, like the one that you just did, and can you say the name of the bookstore for me?
Kinokuniya.
I want to go Kinokuniya. Kinokuniya. First of all, the bookstore is gorgeous, stunning, and it's huge, and it's high end. But you had like people that knew you from like high school there, and college, and
a relative, my cousin who's known me since birth. So so it was literally my entire life.
People love you.
I love that.
But you know what? Not to take away from the fact that whenever you're somewhere, there's always loads of us that know you that come. General audiences love you too, John. You have a niche that nobody else has.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nobody doing what you're doing, and it's really quite amazing to me. John has produced 8 books, and the amount of detail and research that go into your books is very, very impressive.
Well, that's the fun thing of putting everything you possibly can into it, and I always think of the reader as myself. What do I want in this
Right.
book?
What kind of detail?
What would what would impress me? Level of detail, level of history, how many other films I can bring into the conversation while I'm talking about one, in terms of the person's credits. It's like, I would want that. So what do I want? And even with subject matter, when I first started doing these, I would think, what book in a bookstore would grab me, would get my attention, instead of me just passing it by and thinking, oh, I know what that's going to be, or yeah, they've done that before.
Right.
So how can I do one that would catch my eye?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, in actuality, was that your first one with the quiz?
the quiz book was my first
That's
one.
brilliant.
Yeah. Well,
you ordered that, Tim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Tim ordered that
it's
book.
like it's came out 25 years ago.
Wow.
But it was updated in 2013, I think. So I went and made a few changes.
Okay.
So it there were little details I always wanted to change, and then I had the opportunity to do it.
Well, tell them what this is.
Yeah,
Well, this was called "And You Thought You Knew Classic Movies," and I hadn't written as a critic or a historian at that point, but I knew a lot of stuff, and I would come up with ideas of what would be a clever quiz. So it was kind of a way to dip my toe in the water as a writer, where there's very little writing in it. It's just chapter headings and little descriptions. I try to be funny, of course, but the point of that book was to make it really hard, meaning I didn't want anybody to be able to do it. I wanted it to be for people like me,
right? Exactly.
Who would say, "Oh, they're so easy." It's like
give us an example of a question from a very famous movie.
Well, I'll give you. It's on not entirely, but nearly entirely matching quizzes. So I'll give you a subject, and then you have to match.
Oh boy!
Like if it's a piece of property, I don't use Tara, but match the piece of property to the movie in which it appears.
Oh, interesting.
So Mandalay and Rebecca and things like that. But my favorite, when people ask me, my favorite was, because we love movies about showbiz.
Right.
Yes.
To match the fictional movies in the movies to the movie in which they appear, or match the fictional play being done in the movie, like Footsteps on the Ceiling in All About Eve.
I'm already lost.
Or what was the
question?
The one when the producers
Springtime for
Hitler.
So that was the idea. So to have 10,
that's great.
And have like 2 or 3 that you think people know kind of right away, and then others where they'll be looking at it like, I've seen the movie.
Yeah,
I remember them doing it. What's the name? So things like that made it fun for me.
Brilliant.
John, this is a great idea for a game. Have you thought about marketing this into a game?
No.
Because
like
it is
a Trivial Pursuit.
It's like Trivial Pursuit, or like, are you smarter than the average 5th grader? Are you smarter than the average film fan?
I guess.
Oh my God, we come up with things on this show. No, and you know what? The thing, you speak to people again by the titles of your books. Like the new one, not even nominated. You could see 2 people sitting there bitching, right?
Right.
Oh my God, so and so wasn't even nominated.
Well, I was just going to say about titles. We've been in the age, I think my entire career in the publishing world, subtitles are essential. You know what I mean? A title's one thing, but there has to be basically the subtitle that explains what the book is. But without the catchy title, then it would just be kind of dry describing exactly what the book is. So in this case, not even nominated, it's supposed to grab you, but it's not necessarily about people who were never nominated for an Academy Award. It's, where'd you put it?
There it is. It's big and it's heavy. So I've moved it up.
It's the 40 overlooked co-stars of Oscar-winning performances, meaning you had to not be nominated when someone else in your movie won the award. So the Academy liked somebody in this movie.
Somebody may have gotten Best Picture, but these were Best Supporting that did not even get a nomination.
But another actor in the movie had to win.
Okay.
Right.
We'll see, Brian O'Neill in Paper Moon, not nominated. Wow. His daughter, Tatum O'Neill, wins.
Walked away with
it's basically the 2 of them back and forth for 2 hours. One of them wins the Oscar, one's not in the race. So it's examining when those things happen, trying to figure out, not that there's essentially an answer, it's just kind of grappling with it and putting the spotlight on the not nominated person, saying this person was so good in this movie what are some of the factors that maybe came into play about why they didn't get
Well,
any
I think
attention?
that's
Well, we've
important
all-
because not everybody can win. You know, we raise our children that everyone's a winner, but not
Yeah,
everybody
right,
can
exactly.
win. Not
But,
everybody
but the
can
thing
win.
is
That's
we
true.
have all sat and watched a movie thinking, oh my God, that is an Oscar-winning
Yeah.
performance.
Right.
And it doesn't even get
Right.
honorable mention.
Yeah.
It
Right.
doesn't get nominated.
And sometimes it's the test of time. Sometimes things are sort of underappreciated, and as time goes by, something looks better
Mhm.
and better
Right.
and better,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
oversight looks worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And that happens a lot.
Right.
And the Academy Awards are given out much too quickly. Essentially, a movie
Yeah.
comes out, and then you're told you're the best, and then 5 years later, you get to sort of relax with a movie and go, let's just take a look at it. Well, people went a little nuts when this
Yeah.
came out,
But
good or bad. Like, just
What, right.
Yeah.
Why? But
Yeah.
it's so much, you know what, it boils down to money at the end of the day. I was about to say it shouldn't, the Academy Award shouldn't have so much power. I'm sure you all
Mhm.
agree with that. But at the end of the day, when people are looking to finance films and they put the actors that
Yeah.
they want in those films together,
Yeah.
it's going to be those names. That Academy Award wields so much power.
Right. Can I mention one name?
yes,
Glenn Close.
Glenn Close.
Okay, let's
She's
talk
in the
about
book.
it.
What a remarkable actress she is.
Yeah, she
and
is.
she's never won,
And
has
she's
she?
up to number 8. She's never won. She's in my book for Reversal of Fortune when she played Sonny Von Bulow.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
opposite
Incredible.
her was Jeremy Irons as Klaus.
Oh
He
my
won
God, yes.
as best actor, and he is brilliant in the movie. But to me, it's also one of her best performances.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
of the 8 nominations, that's not one of them. And I would have been perfectly happy to see her win for that.
Uh-huh.
Some people would say, well, she's in a coma for half the movie.
It's hard to play being
She's
in a
not-
coma.
She's not in it for that long. And when she narrates it when she's in the coma, and she's still the lead female role in that movie, and she's
Right.
great.
She's
Mhm.
great
Now,
in that movie.
on the encouraging side for Glenn, the fact that they haven't given up and given her an honorary Oscar yet,
Right.
that's hopeful. They're thinking,
yes.
usually they do that when they've given up on you. Like, it's just
Yeah,
never
right,
going to
when it's
happen.
been
Yeah,
Get out,
exactly.
get it out.
But
And the
nice
fact
try.
that they haven't, they're like, give her like one more chance.
Yeah,
So we'll
exactly.
see.
So I'm going to take back what I said before. So in a case like Glenn Close or any of the biggies,
Yeah.
do you think it affects how much they'll be considered for roles in films? Do you think, or the person will just be, no, it's Glenn Close, we want her. We don't care about the Academy Awards.
I don't. In a way, they're bigger than ever because of the hype that now surrounds the Oscars with
Right.
the internet, and the red carpet has become much bigger thing. The designers, all that has become
you're
bigger
right,
and bigger.
yeah.
But the actual impact of the Academy Award, I think, is much less than it used to be,
Mhm.
because the whole thing about winning was box office. You
Right.
win,
Right,
and then the movie
right.
lasts another 2 months in theaters, raking
You're
in
totally-
the dough.
totally
Right,
changed.
Now
right,
it's
right.
all on streaming. I don't even know
Exactly.
how you have a successful movie now. What
No,
I mean,
good
I
point.
agree.
we
Yeah.
know,
agree.
we know if Wicked's making a lot in the theaters or whatever, but everything else, like what, I don't know what the formula is. If you go to streaming in 2 weeks, what makes a hit? So
Uh-huh.
in terms of, however much we give to Netflix per month and all that. So it's a completely different sort of model.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So
different
winning
business
Best
model.
Actress, 50, 60 years ago, the movie would stay out and
Exactly.
you rack up
Well,
the
and you are
millions.
launched up into another
Exactly.
level.
Yes.
But there was far less product. You both brought up a good point. Look at, because of streaming now and Netflix.
Well, and also 40, 50 years ago, how many films were actually made that year, as opposed
Yeah,
to
now they're
now
just
when you
cranking
can
them
make
out.
a film on your phone,
And-
using
Right.
your phone
And
or your MacBook.
right. The
You
other
know-
thing too, when you turn on any of the streaming services and you watch a 2-hour feature, you think, was that a movie or a TV show?
Right,
How do I know?
right.
I only know if you
Yeah.
tell me.
Right.
If they tell me they submitted it and the Academy saw it and it played a week in a theater, but there's no way to used to be able to tell if what you were watching
Right now,
was
you can't even
on
tell.
television or a movie.
Right.
Yeah,
Now it's just,
absolutely.
okay, that was a movie.
It's just entertainment is kind of blurred.
It's blurred.
And in my opinion, the quality
'Cause
the bar has been set very low, as many other things in this country.
Well,
But-
I mean, like you talk to John, and when he does presentations, he'll show snippets from films. It completely blows you away the style in which they were shot.
absolutely.
We can do things now that they could never do before, but you know what they could do before, they had these greats, and you know this, that the performances were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're right, Tim. Now is like, and I'm not. There's so many actors I think are wonderful now. You guys named Glenn Close. There's so many great ones, but
absolutely,
all films were like.
But it
meat
used to
and
be.
potatoes.
It used to be the studio made the decision on what film was going to be made, and they selected that this guy is going to direct because of their history and their experience and all of this. And now it's just like, oh, I got an idea. How about if I film you going to dinner tonight?
Right.
And they'll film it and say, you know, oh, look, and that's in competition with everything. There's just so much
too much content,
and it's all blurred. It's all I want to start a revolution where we bring quality art back to America.
Okay.
And that's in music, in film, in theater, in television. Like, I want a bar. I want the bar.
You want to raise
again.
the bar. But on the other side of the coin is, do you think people care? I look at what you do.
Right.
Do they even care? Does the generation that's come along, do they care?
Yeah,
They've been raised totally on like
to not be able
Fruit
to tell the
Loops.
difference.
They on Fruit Loops, you know, and Cheerios.
The Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So because then it was like, that's what movie theaters became. That's their reason for being, was to see a superhero movie. And I think it made it harder. And I think a lot of the good work ended up being on television. And we know it's television because it's 10 parts, 10 episodes, that kind of stuff. You know, in the 90s, I guess it was with the Wire and the Sopranos, and
there were so many good shows.
Breaking Bad into the new sense that's where it was happening. And if you went to the movie theater, you were less challenged generally, not completely. There were always great. There's always a couple of great movies, and there's always interesting independent stuff. But just so many of the good subjects that we'd want to see in a movie don't show up at the movies so much the way they used to.
They were diluted. The whole thing got diluted.
They got buried, suffocated by the box office of the aiming everything at teenage boys, basically.
Well, we used to go to the movie theater to be entertained, for our emotions to go in all different directions. That's where we went for excitement, to get scared.
It was exciting.
And now again, like I said, you can get that right here.
Right.
You can you walking down the street, or while you're waiting for the subway.
Right.
You can watch a scary movie. You can watch. It's just the representation of the movie theater has changed.
Well, I'm sort of I'm able to be oblivious to this to a certain extent because Wendy knows I get to program and introduce classic movies at the Milford Theater in Milford, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So I see an old movie on the big screen almost every Sunday, and they let me pick them too. So.
I have to add in.
That's a great gift.
You should come out one Sunday. Come stay with me, because one of the things that's the best, our audience is full, and this has become a major thing. And Milford is a small town,
which shows the desire and the hunger.
Oh, it's unbelievable! It's so relaxing for people to do on a Sunday.
Sometimes there are young people, which is always encouraging, but then a lot of middle-aged and older people who say, you know, I'd seen pieces of this on TV, but I never actually sat down and watched this whole thing. Oh my God, I love it. Or I haven't seen it since I was a kid when it came out. So I haven't seen it in 60 years or something like that. And there was, I saw things I never noticed on my television. And
also, John,
so that experience is living on.
John does
That's
like
what
a whole,
it's supposed to do.
You give all the information to, I have no knowledge in classic film. I think I told you that. You kind of turned me on to it. I started going to the things at the Milford Theater, and then, you know, going through your books and everything, it was really overwhelming to me. It was a whole area of life I just completely disregarded.
And you learn so much from old movies, not just what they're about, but the period in which they were made.
Right.
There's so much in it. Even if it's a period piece, you learn about 1939 or 1952.
The morals.
The
lifestyle.
It's just, they're artifacts and sometimes they're still as emotionally powerful as they were then. Like anything, things stand the test of time, other things fall away.
Right,
it's
right.
not always the most popular films of that time
Right.
that are the ones we're talking about.
That sustain.
But
yeah.
you know, history has a way of winnowing out the bad stuff,
Yeah.
and the great stuff is still great.
So now you're from New York originally. You're from Brooklyn originally?
I was born in Brooklyn, lived in Queens, raised on Long Island, went to Ithaca College. Now I live in Milford, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Well,
So-
now, how did you develop this love of film? Like, do you remember your first movie that you saw at the theater?
I think I saw a couple of cartoons that I heard I saw, but the first movie I really saw
Yeah.
was Mary Poppins.
Oh! You started off good.
So,
Mary
On
Poppins
the
was
big
and
screen.
I was 3 years old when it came out. I know I
Wow.
saw it at least 3 times in the theater.
You
I
went
think-
3
Wow.
times to see
Not
it.
yeah, like I said, we have to go back. I want to go
Yeah,
back, and I
wow.
still have a Mary Poppins spoon from I don't know where it came from, but I still have it.
Spoonful
You
of
are,
sugar
you are like
makes
the
the
spirit.
medicine
You are
go
the
down.
spirit animal of my best friend Nancy in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, Nancy,
She
your friend
loves-
Nancy. Yeah.
She loves Mary Poppins.
That's her favorite
So-
movie.
Yes.
And then I think probably, which I say in the introduction to the quiz book, the second movie I can remember seeing, I think, was The Sound of Music. So as a little
Oh,
kid,
the great.
I thought Julie Andrews was in every
Yes,
movie. If
exactly.
you went to the movies, that woman
Just
Julie
Julie
Andrews is
Andrews.
in it.
She was your
'cause-
girl.
She's
Julie
in everything.
Andrews was your girl.
But I remember coming. We lived in Queens at that point. I remember coming into Radio City Music Hall a number of times because those memories stay with you
fancy.
because
Wow,
that was epic. And I remember
Yeah.
seeing the Great Race there,
Wow.
Glass Bottom Boat, Barefoot in
Uh-huh.
the Park,
Wow.
and then we moved to Long Island. So up to like 1967,
Uh-huh.
between 64 and 67, I saw a bunch of things. at
Your
Radio
mom had
City.
a big influence then on doing
I think
this.
it was both my parents loved the movies. They always went before they knew each other, when they were dating,
Yeah.
after they got married. And one grandfather on one side, one grandmother on the other side were movie fanatics. They were always
How
going
cool is
without
that?
their
That is-
spouses.
That's great.
This is where you
So,
get it from,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So no,
Yeah.
everyone
but
loved it.
they helped to feed that. Yeah.
at home
Uh-huh.
on television. Like my Sicilian grandfather loved to cry at tearjerkers.
Uh-huh.
So I can
Wait,
actually
he loved to cry.
Wow, I love
I
that.
can remember him watching An Affair to Remember as like a favorite movie, and
Yes.
you'd look over and there he was crying.
Uh-huh.
And my mother loved the musicals. My dad loved Cagney. And my other grandmother also she was a big woman's picture, as we called them
Yeah.
then.
Uh-huh.
She loved Joan Crawford.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
God.
So they were all nobody was in the business in any way. Nobody performed.
Uh-huh.
Nobody was involved in entertainment, but they all loved the movies.
Now, do you go back to silent?
I-
He's got
your
knowledge in
appreciation
silence.
for
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Please
And
share
there's
that with us. Yeah.
Because that was the evolution
Two in
of
this.
film.
Yeah.
Has been remarkable.
Yes.
Where again, the silent films, it starts off, then the talkies came about, and then they even seem to fill out even more during the classic film era of the 40s to the 50s, and then it kind of got a little more social and more, with the colorization and
Oh gosh.
like all of the evolution. It's
Yeah.
been evolving for over 100 years.
Right, and it's people have to adapt to whatever the new thing
Right,
is.
right,
And
right.
that's there are 2 silent movies in the new book, Seventh Heaven and Sunrise.
Hmm.
And that's such an interesting period, the last 2 years of silence, where they're
Hmm.
so good at visual storytelling. There
Yes.
are barely any title cards because they're
Wow.
unnecessary.
Because he didn't
It's
even-
so
wow.
beautiful. Everything is so
It's an
beautifully
art form. It's like an
expressed.
art form.
Right.
Visually, you get every piece of information, and then sound comes in, and then they have to really take 5 steps back because
Mhm.
everyone's too afraid to move away
They've
from
got
the
to accommodate.
microphone.
They've got to be
So
able
everyone,
to
Right,
accommodate.
everyone's in movies like we are right now,
Yeah.
having a conversation.
Well, we've come full circle then, haven't we?
And there's the mic, and we can't move, or no one will hear.
Yeah.
And then it takes about 5 years, well, maybe not even that many years, but a couple of years where you can feel that everyone's loosened up and
Yeah.
they can start to get more visual again.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course,
But then other genres start popping out, like Dracula and Frankenstein.
That
pop
was
up.
my thing as a
And
kid.
then,
I loved
but
it.
then you have something again so innovative and such a breakthrough, like the Wizard of Oz.
right.
yeah.
With
Yeah,
the black and
movies-
white, and then
yeah.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
bam,
Color.
you're in
Right.
color.
Color.
Like
Right.
I could
Right.
only imagine in the movie theaters at
Right.
that time, everybody would just gasp at when she opened that door and everything was in color.
I think the 30s are really the kind of the most interesting in terms of
Pivotal
all of that.
in terms
If
of
you look
that.
at movies from 1930, there's some great ones like All Quiet on the Western Front,
Uh-huh.
but there is that sort of tentative quality to a lot of them about the sound part of it, and there's the staginess because plays can now be done as plays with actual dialogue and actors from the theater. It's a weird, interesting, fascinating transition. But by 1939, if you look at The Wizard of Oz or Gone with the Wind, technically the color and the camera work, and these movies look like they were made yesterday. And that was only within less than 10 years. The strides were fantastic.
Were really amazing. It's interesting because you were talking about silent films. Milford, Pennsylvania, Tim, is where one of the places where all the silent film stores went. Mary Pickford stayed at the Hotel Clocher.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-Hollywood.
This was like they would summer there. And I know it's kind of ironic that of all the places that you could have ended up in the world, with what I think about this, John, it's kind of weird that you're there.
Yes,
that's where it all began. Yeah, and you're the one that's completely documenting everything. Well, I'm just going to say,
go there for that fact.
I know, but look how ironic.
How did you end up there?
My partner at the time wanted to retire from teaching, but he didn't want to move into my 1-bedroom apartment in the city. So it was like an in-between thing. And he had a friend in Milford. So I would come up, we'd look at houses together. And I was not expecting to fall in love with the small town. I thought I'll come on the weekends like people do and whatever. And never, but it was 12 years of back and forth. And now it's been 12 years that I've been full-time. And so I didn't know I was going to fall in love with that kind of life. It's like It's a Wonderful Life. It's like Bedford.
Yes, exactly. But there's a lot of people in Milford from New York.
Yes, well, that's
totally, Tim. That's why it works. Yeah,
that's another one of my running lines when I talk about it. Was like I ended up moving to when I did move to Milford, I ended up meeting everyone from New York I always wanted to meet when I lived in New York, but couldn't get near, because it's a level playing field in a small town where people who want to get involved, if they're weekenders, everyone's at the same things. It's not like there are 85 things going on. So you're meeting all kinds of interesting people in all aspects of the arts that you would never intermingle with. I never did. I tended to, when I was here, I was trying mostly to act. And so I only knew other actors. I didn't really know other people.
Exactly.
And so there I met writers and artists and all kinds of photographers and all kinds of people. And
chances to volunteer, like with the Black Bear Film Festival.
Well,
it's such a great film festival, and you have that opportunity. And we meet so many different kinds of people.
Yeah, and you're on the committee.
Yeah,
I've been on the board and the film committee on and off different years, but I've always participated.
Same here.
Yeah. And
so tell us about that.
Well, it's interesting from my point of view, as Wendy said, how did I end up there? Because the film festival had already started when I got there. I got there in 2000, but
I got there the same time as you. Jerry Beaver had
it already was in existence, and I think by the third one I was involved. But the fact that what I said about meeting people, all the movie stars that have come to Milford that I interviewed on the stage after we showed one of their classics, and then they come up and we talk.
Tim will love this. Let's pass that on to Tim.
That's what I wanted to.
Pass that over to him.
If I had just stayed here, I don't think this would have happened.
So tell us about some of your interviews.
Well, I'll read them off, and then you can ask me who you want to ask me about.
We want all the dish.
They were all lovely. Farley Granger, Arlene Dahl, Marge Champion, Keir DeLay, Jane Powell, Rex Reed, Tab Hunter, Lorna Luft, Jane Alexander, and we just had Ileana Douglas.
Right, Ileana Douglas.
So all those people, I did like 45-minute interviews on stage after the movie. I let them pick the movie they wanted us to see. And again, it was just a crazy opportunity. I can walk to this theater from my house. And it's where I showed the classic movies. So it's all,
It's a 5-minute walk from his house. Talk about it's a charmed life, John. And it's well deserved for what you're doing. Good for you. Arlene Dahl.
She was so beautiful still, and into her, I guess she was in her 80s at that point.
I did meet her, right? I was there for all of these.
Arlene Dahl, remind us.
Gorgeous redhead.
And the films.
We showed
what movies?
Journey to the Center of the Earth with James Mason and Pat Boone.
Pat Boone!
3 Little Words with Fred Astaire and Red Skelton. Woman's World with Clifton Webb and Laura Bacall, and we showed a movie called The Black Book, also known as Reign of Terror, which is a French Revolution film noir, which is really good, with Robert Cummings, and a gorgeous black and white movie. She was so stunningly beautiful, and she still was.
Yeah, she was
and
beautiful.
She was, and really bright and funny. And even if for some of them who hadn't been doing stuff professionally for a while, when the light was on and the audience clapped, they were stars.
Yeah, they lit up.
And it was wonderful.
I love that.
I remember particularly Jane Powell, I think, who was living a very normal life in Connecticut, but I could see when she was with us that she knew in her back pocket she had this movie star thing that she could take out whenever she wanted.
The movie star card.
So if I accept this invitation, I can have a few days and it's fun, and then I can go back to, but I'm not going to be mobbed for the rest of my life. It's just something, if I want to use it, they still remember me.
Yeah.
And I think Tab Hunter was like that too, because he had a very full life.
Wow.
Oh my God, he's still so
very
cute.
Very handsome. It's still
we had T-shirts with his picture on them, and I tell people I was the last woman to sleep with Tab Hunter. I still wear the T-shirt. Rex Reed. Tim, you probably know Rex Reed, right?
Well,
I'm sure your path has crossed with him. Yeah. Just so many of them. Lorna Luft,
which is
she was so fun.
Judy Garland's daughter, Liza Minnelli's sister.
Yes,
half sister. She was really fun, and it's someone like Judy Garland. You feel you could ask. You're really going to the horse's mouth. It's not about reading a book and researching stuff. Like, this is a question I always want to know about Judy. Tell me.
Yeah.
And one thing I had asked her about was, we know she lost the Oscar for Judgment at Nuremberg as well as Star is Born. Was she there that night in 1962?
Good point.
I've never seen a picture. I've never seen anything mentioned about it. And she told a cute story. The gist of it, I won't tell it as well as she did. The gist of it was she didn't want to go because she knew she was going to lose. She didn't want to go, but she was dressed there, ready. She was still looking for a reason not to go. And according to Lorna, Joey coughed or something. Oh my God, Joey's sick. We're not going. Something like that. So and she was right.
Saved.
She lost.
Oh wow.
And she lost.
She lost.
Have any of them, just in casual conversation, shared with you pitfalls of their stardom? Because you talk to them all intimately. You used to have to pick them up too, right? It's one-stop shopping. The interviews picks them up in a car.
They were all very, very honest. And I think you could feel the theater go so quiet because the room got so intimate.
Yeah, I
and
love
you
that.
felt like Jane Powell talked about the not knowing anything, being there as a teenager, going through puberty and life changes, and not really having friends. So much of that was studio orchestrated. That made you think people thought you were best friends with people you really weren't.
Exactly.
And just that sort of coming into your own and being thrust into adulthood, but without knowing stuff.
And also trying to figure out who you are and what's going on with the hormones raging, with all of this and all the changes in your body. That's normally done in a classroom of kids your same age. You find out from them how to do that, but going through that, it would be so lonely.
I think people loved when they were very, very honest about things, and it wasn't all just the glamour.
It wasn't. They were or becoming a senior actress. Was it March Champion who was backstage flexing, doing her dance moves?
Oh my goodness!
No, you had to see it. Her leg was way up and everything while she was waiting to go on to do the interview with him. I'm like, I can't believe she was how old?
She was in her 90s when she came back.
Tim, how her flexibility was
and so sharp too. Again, and we did the interview, and I think people clapped. We went into the wings, and then she said, "Let's take a bow." And so we went out together as if I were Gower, and we bowed as if we had just done a big dance routine. Right. I thought, I'm bowing. She's curtsying to the audience, like, this is
amazing, surreal.
But it was just a little extra.
Absolutely surreal. What do you think, from your personal opinion? You study classic films. We talk about ageism a lot now. Do you think it existed as bad back in those days?
It was worse.
Yeah, I agree. It was worse.
It was worse.
You could see how,
especially for women.
Yeah.
almost really entirely for women,
Mhm.
how they started to age you out of your stardom, even like at 35.
Mhm.
And-
So do you both think it happened earlier than now? 35 is young. You're still working now.
Oh, it's earlier.
At 35,
Oh, yeah,
but back
no.
then they tried to age
now,
you out
yeah.
even
Now
But
it's
earlier.
now
Yeah.
people like Jane Fonda and all of that have broken that barrier.
And Lily Tomlin,
In fact,
right.
But when they were young, they were probably being told, "Oh, you're 25, you're getting up there."
Yeah,
Like, you know.
count on one hand the golden era ladies who went into their 50s.
Yes, right.
You know,
right.
Katharine Hepburn, of course, Rosalind
Yeah.
Russell,
Yeah.
Betty Davis, Joan Crawford. But of
Mhm.
course, some had to resort to those awful horror movies of the 60s just to have your name above the title.
I never realized
Mhm.
that until I heard you say it, but
Yeah.
you're right.
Because I think someone like Joan Crawford thought, you know, I could play somebody's mother in some really good movie and
Mhm.
have one scene, but I'm a star, so I would rather do Straitjacket because it'll be
Right.
Joan Crawford in. And
yeah.
that was just a mental game that that's what
Right.
stardom was. You're
Well-
a star. You're above the title.
Well, again, imagine having that stardom and that adoration and the money and all of that, and then just because you're aging, it's all going to be taken away from you.
right.
And so what do you do?
What do you
Right.
do?
That's all you know. That's all these people,
Right.
these women
Well,
would know
You
is-
do. I'm sorry.
is acting and being
Yeah.
on the set and all of that. And now this is being taken away. What are they going to do for the rest of their life?
Right, because they're so defined by it. Exactly. Or you do the thing which extends you for a while, like Joan Crawford did it with Mildred Pierce,
Oh,
and
yes.
Lana Turner with Peyton Place. Will you play
Yeah,
the
they-
mother of a teenage girl?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
That's the
Me
role.
play the mother. I
And
play
then
the teenage girl.
There's usually
Tim wants us mother of the teenage girl roles.
there's usually a line about how you were only 16 when you got married. you know?
Yes, right. Yes, yes.
So you're still in your
So
30s.
you have longevity.
But again, these women were not 50 when that
Right.
happened. They were in their Lana Turner was still in her 30s when she did
Uh-huh.
Peyton Place. But
Right.
again, she
Wow.
was like an older woman.
Yeah, exactly.
And if
exactly.
you ever do, when you're watching an old movie, you look up someone's age, you're shocked from the older things because they're being told they're telling the audience these women are older than they obviously
they
yeah,
are.
yeah, exactly.
right.
But they're the way their hair is done and what the clothes they're
Yeah.
wearing. They were forcing you on that sort of conveyor belt of age
Yeah.
much faster. Like get
Yes,
on it,
I agree.
on
I
and
agree.
off. You know.
I think there's much more opportunity now. We also have in
Absolutely.
terms of producers now. Look at all the
Yeah.
women. That's a big game
directors.
changer.
Mhm.
Women that are producers and directors, which is affecting things.
Yeah, you know, it's
Mhm.
much better now.
It's a better landscape, as we would say. John, how do you remember all this
Right?
stuff? Tim and I are in awe.
Mhm.
When I say we complete each other's
Right.
sentences, it's because he remembers one part and I remember,
I remember
the other.
half of it, and she got the other half.
But this is such like in-depth stuff. Well, how does it stick?
I don't know, and I'm
Were
waiting.
you, bo-
I
well, you
joke.
weren't born like this.
Well,
This
I-
is something that just happened.
I keep joking because when I introduce the movies on Sundays at the theater, I don't memorize it, but I memorize an outline and I don't use cards. I
we
just
call
talk.
punch
Mhm.
points. We
And
call
people
them.
say I look for the teleprompters, but I can't see them because there
Right.
aren't. But anyway, my point being, one day, and it may be soon, as I approach 64, I'm just
Young.
going to go blank and just be
Yeah,
standing
right.
there and wonder where I am and who are they.
Welcome to my world.
And who's the picture of the movie star behind me
Yeah.
on
Right,
the
who is
screen?
it? Where am I? Why is the comic cleanser in the refrigerator?
All right.
How did that
So,
happen? Right?
Until it does, I'll just keep rattling off the details,
Yes,
the info.
well, good.
It's really quite amazing
So-
that you're able to do this.
And the thing is, like, Hollywood has been so incredible. There's such a wide variety of genres, styles,
yeah.
all of that and a lot of brilliance behind a lot of these and the development. I just wanted to kind of read down a little group of, like, It Happened One Night, Wizard of Oz, Citizen Kane, His Girl Friday, Casablanca,
Love that.
It's a
film.
Wonderful Life, All
Love
About
that one.
Eve, The Exorcist, Sunset Boulevard, Singing in the Rain, Shane, Vertigo, Some Like It Hot, Poseidon Adventure, The Godfather, Psycho, Mary Poppins, Rosemary's Baby, Lawrence of Arabia, to Sir with Love,
Oh,
The
I
Sound
love
of
that
Music,
film.
2001 Space Odyssey, Jaws, Taxi Driver, Apocalypse Now, Double Indemnity, Lady Sings the Blue, Meet Me in St. Louis, Rebel Without a Cause, King Kong, The Thing. I even had some more, but I've only got 3 more. The Grapes of Wrath, Ben-Hur,
Wow.
Rear Window. Like each one of these are so brilliant in their
Yeah, they
own
are.
way, and what it took to get each one of these films from an idea
On
onto
the
that screen
Right.
is an amazing journey. I mean, this is such an incredible industry. So I'll let you take it away and say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, I've shown a lot of these movies at
Yeah,
the theater.
that's
Uh-huh.
where that's
Right,
how I know
right.
them, right?
And it's a thrill. I think these are mostly from the golden era, and they were better at storytelling.
Mhm.
Just telling a story that grabs you.
Right.
Not what bothers me a lot about today's movies is that cryptic way they tell a story. You think if they just told us straight from A to Z in the right order, would
Right.
we even
Yeah.
care?
Okay,
There's
I'm
too
lost
much-
in the sauce
there's-
nowadays
there's-
with a lot of the films.
There's
I'm like, what
too
the
much
hell?
trickery, and I
Right.
thought these older movies were so good
Yeah.
at compact storytelling that grabbed
Yes.
you, kept you, and satisfied you.
Yes.
And I think even smaller movie, It Happened One Night is one of my favorite movies,
Mhm.
but it's the granddaddy of romantic comedy.
Yes.
Right.
But
Yes.
it's a small story, a love story, whatever. The amount of craft and art. I mean, even like
Yes.
the
That's what I think.
cinematography in that movie,
Yes.
we don't think of it as the breathtaking black and white imagery. It Happened One Night, but it is breathtaking
Absolutely.
black and white imagery. And they're saying even a movie that's just a black and white romantic comedy, there's so much art. And I don't mean it in a
Absolutely.
self-conscious, pretentious way at all. But so many movies today, if they're like the in-between movies or the rom-coms, whatever, they don't look very good. They
Right,
don't look
right.
good.
Right.
right.
The art
even-
isn't there.
Even any random black and white movie of the 40s, there's a certain level in the lighting and something
Yeah.
that shows
Shadows.
Yeah,
everything. There's a certain level of art going on.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying there aren't artists working, just the opportunity or the respect from the bosses.
Respect.
Just like do what you do, get to do it.
Right.
And
Well, or respect for the art form.
Yeah, I would say
Is-
that's
is-
it.
That's really been lacking.
I also learned something from John when he shows these old films. There's cadences that people speak in that don't
Mhm,
exist
right.
now.
Yeah.
That-
True,
but
true.
it draws you in. It strengthens the character. And I was saying in modern films, I get lost in the sauce. I like the way they shoot them, and I'm by halfway through, I'm the person saying, "What happened? What just happened?" On that.
oh,
Because these you can really follow it because of the language and how the words are presented. It makes it easier.
and
You're riveted by it.
Mhm.
people are less likely to whisper in old movies.
Right.
They really,
Yeah.
Right. It's
Right.
They let you hear the lines.
Sean, I
Yeah,
thought it was
yeah.
my hearing. First my
No.
brain, then my hearing.
Well, see, I love horror movies. That's
too.
one genre
Yep,
that I
me
do
too.
love. And we had a horror movie the other night. We saw The Exorcist, and then we decided to watch Black Christmas because
Oh,
he was
wow.
like, one of the. So we watched the 1978 version, and I said the brilliance of this was it wasn't explained. That was the horror of that show. Well, they redid it in like the 2000s and had to explain every little step by step how he became like that. And I was like, that's so
Let's-
boring.
Let's-
But
It's
this-
like
this
now
is-
everybody has to know everything and have to be explained, and they got to write it in the dialogue and this and that.
Do you mean Black Christmas? I've never
Black
seen
Christmas,
it. Oh,
yeah.
but
The original.
The Exorcist, that was a film you could easily follow because
Oh, that was horrifying.
right, it was right. But Tim just said it was horrifying. The characters were
That was
bigger
one
than
of the
life.
most horrifying movie I've ever
Right.
seen.
And they
Yeah,
psychologically knew how to get into people's
Yeah.
heads and twist their brains. I
still.
agree
But the
with
problem is Exorcist 2.
Yeah,
Exorcist
right,
3,
right.
Exorcist 44, the exorcism of this person, this and the
you. How many people can you exercise at a given
and now
time?
they still, that was the grandfather of
Yeah.
demonic possession movies. And they're still
The
making
best
them.
award.
Even in the old days, I'm sure you've seen The Women.
Oh, I love The Women.
When they
Yeah.
remake it in the 50s, they add the men.
Right.
So there are men,
It's a
and you
different
think
dynamic.
it's so much better if we never see a man.
Right. That's the
That's
whole
one
point.
of the point. We only see the women talking to each other about the men.
Yes.
We imagine all the men, but there are no men. And then they added the men thinking they were giving us something, and it was like, oh, it stinks. This movie stinks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. They should have left it. They should have left it.
Shouldn't have touched it. Is what they
the
should
way
have
it
done.
was. John, do you have any upcoming readings and things where people can find you and
I think
have this on your website too?
you are the grand finale.
Oh my God!
Oh my goodness!
I think I have a couple of podcasts coming up, but they're not scheduled yet.
Oh, with the grand
But the book came out October 10th, so between then and today were the events I mentioned earlier, other podcasts, whatever, reviews on whatever blogs and newspapers, and whatever. All the stuff you do has all happened and right before Christmas, and so I'm hoping it'll pick up again for Oscar season because it's a book
Oscar
about the
season, but a wonderful Christmas
not even
gift
nominated
for that. Not even how could that's what I do. I fill in what you're really thinking. How the hell could they not even nominate them?
Yeah,
but here we have John DiLeo has really nominated them to be in his book.
That's right.
He's going to take and right that wrong.
Who needs an Oscar when you can have a chapter in my book?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! So, do you list your upcoming things? Will be on your website. How can
Well,
people
the
find
upcoming
out more?
things are the
Social media.
Yes.
Okay.
Instagram. You have it posted, right?
Instagram
and Facebook.
Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, that's coming.
What's coming up in January is the Hitchcock Festival at the Milford Theater. 4 Sundays,
Perfect.
1 Saturday, 3 Sundays. Hitchcock.
Tim,
movies.
you have to come
It's our
out.
4th
I love
annual.
Hitchcock.
It's
Yeah.
our 4th annual.
Please
so
come out. We have it
we've
every
shown
year.
a lot of them. So that's mostly what I'll be doing in
But
January.
again, like the brilliant Psycho,
We showed
brilliant,
yes, it's a
brilliant film.
Great film.
Yeah.
that takes you on a ride.
Yes,
That's what entertainment should do.
I agree.
But I'm telling you, and again, just back to horror movies, anymore, when I'm watching them, after a while, I start rooting for the killer. I'm just like, kill her. She's fucking annoying.
Right.
Excuse my language, but
Put
I'm
her,
just like,
put her
she's
out
annoying.
of her misery
Put
already.
her out of our misery.
Yeah,
Yes.
really. We
Like
don't,
these
we don't
younger
wanna see this
actresses
anymore.
that don't know the craft, like so much. That's what I mean by no respect for the art form. Is
Right.
it's more, and in this Instagram
world,
age,
Instagram world.
that it's all about the outer image. How do you look on the outside? It doesn't matter that they can't act their way out of a paper bag. They'll get the job because they look pretty and they think that they might have so many followers so that they can.
I've heard that.
That the reality is when we
disgusting.
audition for things, I just had this asked of me yesterday. How many followers do you have on social media?
Wow.
And now my answer is, and I have no qualm saying this, if that is why you called me and not the fact that I'm a good actress, we don't have anything more to talk about. I don't need to work that badly. And someone, and I believe this, if they're really interested in you, Tim, they're going to look up the actual work you've done. Like you did the movie Junk, that movie, you're in the whole entire film.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 2 leads. You're one of them. They're going to look at your work. They should not be worrying their heads about how many followers you have on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that.
But they're more, but see, that to me is the biggest problem with all areas of entertainment, especially the film industry, is they come from the and especially Broadway too. They come from how can we get ticket sales? What do we need? What kind of a show do we need to put up that will sell tickets?
And what do we have to do?
rather than create a good piece of art and sell that, they will go with something that's already sold, like a movie, like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, right.
Throw some songs in it and say, "Oh,
It's
look,
a
it's a
musical.
musical. Come buy this because you know the show."
The other thing was, I remember years ago, this occurred to me about you can't plug a TV star or a reality star into the Metropolitan Opera or New York City Ballet, but some of them think it's okay to do that on Broadway.
Exactly.
Like there's not, you don't have the same respect. You have to be able to do those things to get on those stages.
I agree.
But it's Broadway, it's the stage. Anybody can just get up there.
Ticket sales.
That's annoying.
And it just reduces the
exactly
quality
right.
of the art.
Yeah.
Of course.
And that's one of the things. That's another revolution that I want to change too.
Okay. Well,
Another revolution.
And then in
Here, darling, show our audience.
in February at the Milford Theater, I'm doing 4 more movies for Sundays, but they're all from
Nice.
this book because it's Oscar season. The Oscars are March 2nd. So we're going to show Captain's Courageous, Born Yesterday, Paper Moon, and Ordinary People.
Oh, you got
for the
good
Oscars.
movies.
Great. Yeah, we absolutely do. And John, what you bring to the party, it's really interesting. Again, I said niche. To me, you're this enigma. You were someone that was studying acting like so many, and then whatever made you veer off, but you're an expert, and it really blows me away. There's no one that can touch you. And, I meet a lot of famous people being in New York, and they knew from a little kid they were going to be an expert in this, an expert in that. You were John DiLeo. You came from Long Island. You went to Ithaca College. You were studying acting. And now look at this.
Well, it's just like anything. If you love something, it doesn't
such a
feel like
passion.
work, even though it is hard work.
This is such hard work.
If it looks like hard work from the outside, it's not how it feels in the inside.
No. Okay, personal question. Really personal. How many index cards do you have?
Oh, she loves my index cards. My reference. When I started my second book, I realized if I was going to write about an actor, I couldn't watch every movie they ever made every time I was going to write about them.
Right.
So I needed to have my own reference system. So I would watch a movie, get an index card, handwritten, write all my impressions, plot points, what I loved, what I didn't, a funny line, something. 2 sides, file them alphabetically.
Wow.
I can't remember if it's 7,000 or it's somewhere between 6 and 8,000, but I looked, it's almost 25 years of cards.
Wow.
And if I knew there were going to be that many, I probably would have done it on the computer, because now it's too much to start putting in.
Right. It's a nightmare. Right.
So, and they're getting a little, crinkly, but when I do a book, a chapter on any of those actors, I just pull out every card with every movie, that person, every Edward G. Robinson movie, read them and see if I said anything I want to actually use in print.
Wow.
And sometimes no, there's nothing there. It's like, oh, I love that. Oh, did I say that?
Right. And there it is in an index
and then it shows up.
Now, do you just sit down and watch a movie and just enjoy it? Or are you constantly looking
That's a very fair question, because I hear that from Michael, my partner Michael, about you're no fun.
Well, Michael, I'm sorry, his partner Michael likes to say that.
Well, I wanted to bring up Michael, but go ahead,
just
finish your thought.
And he has a point. It's like I usually want to watch. If it's something like the Oscar movies coming up, I'll say I want to watch these alone. We can watch them together a second time, but I'd rather watch it alone. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I get it, because you're right. It's a certain aspect of it is going to work,
right? Exactly.
And I can only watch something once,
exactly,
the first time.
Yeah. And you want to record how
impressions, not filtered through who was sitting next to me. And
exactly.
This person didn't laugh once. I could tell he was hating it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, maybe I'm not liking it. But if no one else is there, none of that's in the room.
Of course.
So I want to watch things by myself.
Yeah.
And then whatever. TV series, I don't mind so much about that. But, and in terms of writing a book, even if it's a movie I've seen 40 times, I'll sit down and watch the whole thing straight through for a new impression, whether it's 5 years later, 20 years later, and then go back and do the nitty gritty, watch the appropriate scenes over and over and over.
John, I got to tell you, it's amazing to me. You should will your brain to science. That's an incredible brain.
Not too soon though. Right?
Now, also, if we could put up his contact info.
Yeah.
And
we have some comments too.
But I want to hear about Michael. Yes. Tell us about your partner, Michael. I've heard some good things about him and some fun things about him.
Well, it's interesting when you meet. I think he had just passed age 60, and I was about to turn 60.
Mm-hmm.
So meeting for the first time in a sort of act 3
yes.
of life.
Yes, right.
It's just a very different experience.
You live totally different lives.
We've sort of you already know who you were going to end up becoming, kind of thing.
Right.
So it's I think, and we're both in that place. So it's been wonderful having a whole newness to this thing we called life.
Right. Later in life.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
You lost your partner of many years.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
he moved here from
thank you.
LA.
And Michael came back from LA. And so,
It's a really beautiful
we're like
thing.
starting a new chapter together.
Nice,
And so it's 4 years and change.
Tim, and also, and you know this, they really complement each other. Michael's he'll say outrageous things. John
I
is
love
like,
that.
John's a very cool person. He says nice things. They won't be outrageous, but the other one is like, oh my God, did he just?
My language, my language has gotten much worse.
And right, it has. No, your language is
No,
it's worn
it
off.
has.
But again, you know, you guys make a great couple. I'm so happy to know you, or that you're here today,
Thank
and I treasure people like you. People like you add to our society, really.
Absolutely.
As
You
you
know,
two
there's
do.
so much like stuff out there that like you have to just push away right now and say, nope, not going to deal with it. We're going to come here today. We're going to talk about classic films.
But this is wonderful.
Beautiful, right.
Who
I
doesn't
agree.
love the movies?
Thank you, Tim.
And
Right.
you've got such incredible depth and insight.
Yeah, it is depth and insight.
And an original perspective.
We have a couple of comments
Yeah,
on
let me
here.
see.
none
Lori
of which
Towers.
that I
Do you
can
know
see.
Lori? She's a PR.
And a dear
PR woman.
friend.
And I'm let me see if I can.
Sorry.
You want me to read it? I have
Yeah,
glasses
please.
on.
You read. Yeah. 'cause
This
I
is a
can-
must get for me. You should have a book
Yes.
signing at Larry Edmonds Bookshop in West
we go.
Hollywood. I don't know. Are you familiar?
I did Larry Edmonds for my previous book. There
Okay,
are no
cool.
small parts. So when I had an opportunity to go back this just last month, I wanted to do a different one. I went to Book Soup and had an event. But I went into Larry Edmonds, saw Jeff. We had a nice chat.
Oh, I love
Said he was
that.
going to get the book.
I
Cool.
love it.
So he
And
wished
may-
me luck.
And
We're on
maybe you
good
can,
terms.
and maybe you can go back again. You know,
Yes,
another trip to California.
I think I might be going back in September.
Okay,
Let's
and
talk.
S. Tupper, glad to hear I'm not the only one who feels that the quality of films and TV shows is generally far poorer than decades ago.
Yeah.
Right. We're all in agreement. And Apollo Cabrera. Hi, Apollo. You're always
Hey.
so cool about tuning in. Great. Thank you. You know, we always thank our people that make comments. We know lots of you watch, and you don't have to make comments. There's no pressure here.
Mhm.
We're here to entertain. And that's
And
what we
hopefully
do.
educate.
And advocate and all the good things that we do. You are perfect because we're going into, for the first time ever, what I call Christmas hiatus. We will be running
Mhm.
2 shows. They will be reruns because Christmas Day and New Year's we're going to be
Wednesdays,
shut at Pangea. It's in the middle of who put the holiday in the middle of the week? Can someone please tell me who is responsible for that? So we'll have 2 reruns. I love that John is our last live guest of the
Yes,
year.
perfect.
That's kind of like really cool.
Great. I'm having a great time.
I know, and so are we. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today. We want you to have the most amazing holiday.
Show the book again.
And here's the book again. John, do you want to hold it up
Not
next to
even
the
nominated.
author?
40
No.
overlooked co-stars of Oscar-winning performances.
Right.
Yes.
You'll know so many of those performances in
Thank you,
there.
thank you.
It's a great gift to give. It's a great gift to give yourself. Okay, you can order it online at Amazon. You can get it at the major bookstores. You're in Barnes and Noble and that bookstore that I can't pronounce again.
Kinokuniya.
Thank you,
and
honey.
Bryant Park.
Kinakayua. What does Kinakayua stand for? What does it mean? It's a. You didn't even ask what it meant. Okay, my trivia would be I would ask what it meant and then not be able to pronounce
They were
it.
so lovely to me.
Jesus, they were wonderful, and it's a gorgeous bookstore right across from Bryant Park. You can go to the Christmas market and come and visit the bookstore. You can get John's book. Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays.
Also, I
Happy
just
New
want to
Year's.
say
Yeah.
my jacket.
Let's do it. Right.
My jacket here. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, Tim, I'm
But it
sliding
was,
over. Tim, show them your body.
Okay, I'll stand up just a little.
Yeah,
bit.
right.
Yeah.
If you can. Yeah, this
There.
is so hard to do it. It's
But
gorgeous.
it's from Snow Milk.
Snow Milk.
Snow Milk, and they have over at the Union Square Holiday Market. They
Which
have a
is
little booth,
fabulous.
but they also have at Oculus and at Chelsea Market. So I highly recommend. They are just like the coolest jackets.
Yeah, and the jacket looks great on you.
Yeah,
It's
yes,
gonna
and you
become
can
Tim's
wear this
signature.
jacket while you're reading one of his books,
I love
one
it.
of John
I
DiLeo's
love
books.
it. It's great. Well, everybody, thank you so much, John.
Thank you
Tim.
both, Tim.
I can't
Wendy.
believe this is our last live show of the season. We'll be back. January 8th is our next one with a humdinger of a show. We're streaming the guests from LA. Not going to tell you what it's about yet. You'll have to all stay tuned. Thank you, everybody.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. All right.